republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone, thanks for coming. I think we're going to hold the introductions for the new staff about the public comments. Any additions to the agenda? Huh?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion seconded, any discussion? Submit your vote. I'm assuming 5-0. Motion carries 5-0.
Say again? Just kidding.
Are you at 3?
I have 3.
Below 2.
Concerns of Burlington UFB 244 patrons. You have none. So with that, let's just go ahead and do some introductions. I guess we'll start, for those of you that don't know us, I'm James Higgins, board president.
I'm Luke Sallin, board vice president, been on the board for 8 years. Burlington graduate, family's all here. Hello here.
Monique Hart, 12-year board member, same. I grew up here, went to college in Boise State, and here I am.
Ron Hess, board member. Pretty much born and raised here. Moved back and forth a little bit. But Christy's my wife. We raised 2 girls through the school. And they're both kind of finishing up on their postgraduate stuff. Work for the Highway Patrol here, so if you see me, just smile and wave.
And go to speak.
Or if you see me, just smile away.
Just smile and wave.
Been a board member for 1 complete cycle now, with a little bit on the front side of that, and get ready to go up again for re-election in November. So, all right, that's good.
I can't top that. So,
Broke the ice.
yeah, thanks. I'm Bob Plummer. I've been on the board for 2 years. I work out at the plant, and I would be the lone transplant board member. I grew up in DeSoto, so moved here, oh gosh, 17 years ago now. So I don't feel like a transplant at this point, but
We're gonna keep you.
if they keep paying me, I'll keep showing up. So,
Well, I apologize, I kept mine short. I'm a graduate from Burlington also.
Do you want to tell us what year?
Huh?
Yeah, what year?
Long time ago. Let's start
We'll be the
with,
front row with Sarah. Sarah, why don't you
Front row,
introduce
Sarah?
yourself?
All right. I'm Sarah Racine. I have been in Burlington about just barely over 4 years now. And I substituted for a little bit when my son was still in preschool, and then accepted the 4th grade math position. And so I've been working with Darla at BES.
great, thank you.
awesome, thank you.
And who's the next? Back here.
My name Dates. This is my 2nd year. I'm at the middle school. Last year was the librarian / reading interventionist, and this year I took over the low incident special ed program.
I'm Zoe Altic. I went to school here till I was about 7th grade and moved away and went to college at ESU and taught a few different districts, but now I teach 5th grade at the middle school.
What was your last name?
Altic, it was Cothers originally.
Altic, okay.
Yeah.
I'm Sage Coleman, born and raised here, went to ESU, and now I'm back teaching 5th grade. So,
You know anybody here?
Jennifer Winters. My family moved here from Mississippi in January, and I started as I was working as a para because it was the middle of the year at the elementary school, and then I moved over to the middle school, and now I'm doing special education at the middle school.
No.
We already know you. Who else? Do we have anybody else?
Any other, did we miss any staff? We're so happy that
Well,
the staff are on board with us. Go
We're
ahead.
happy you're here, for sure, and hopefully this is a place you'll stay for a long, long time.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Good recruiting, Darla.
And Matt.
You're welcome to stay and get some board education, or you're welcome to leave.
You won't offend anybody.
Yeah.
You have the rest of your evening.
This was pretty much what I got at the meeting, so.
Darla, you have to stay.
Thank you for coming.
We're sorry we made you come, but that's kind of the way we get to see who you are and you see.
It's great to put a face with a name.
Thank you very much for coming. You got some people to stay.
Which one?
Okay.
Which one? Okay.
You have one.
Okay, we have a letter of appreciation from Scott Jeffers. Everybody got a chance to read that?
And Scott had planned on being here tonight, but something did come up. He just wanted to convey his thanks for the work that we do in terms of the OK Kids and the help and support. Also with the rec center, Scott and I had a really good conversation, and he just is so thankful for the partnerships that we created over the past 10 years and the working relationships that we have just done great things with, whether it's the concession stand at the baseball softball field, concession stand restroom facility, whether it's the turf project, them supporting us with us being able to use the rec center at different times when we have multiple events, when we're hosting so many things we can't even shake a stick at. So, or when they need our buildings to do little kids volleyball or practices for basketball or whatever. So he did want to convey his gratitude for our working relationship, and he's just thankful that it's like that.
Anything else? We have Darla. You're up.
I don't have any additions, any questions on the report?
I appreciate you sharing about like the church and volunteer programs coming in.
Yeah.
And we did talk about that with Minister Alliance earlier, that at any time we welcome volunteers with our programs. So.
Yeah, it's been a long time, like we used to have that a long time ago, and then it went out with COVID, and it's getting started back up, so it's good.
Okay. Thank you, Darla. Matt Spring.
I don't have anything to add either. If there are questions. Probably the only thing would be Reality U again was a big hit. We had a lot of new cars returned for a used car again. They go to find out just how much they really don't make, which is a really good experience for our kids. And then they hit it again. I believe it's their sophomore, junior year. They go again and have a little bit better understanding of what it really is like.
Okay, anything else from Matt? Okay. Lee Baldwin, you're up.
Okay. At the end of my report, there was two things that wanted to touch base and just inform the board about that I'm a pretty big proponent of and kind of explain why. So the first one is in our student handbook, we do not have a point system for behavioral issues. And going from August to now and communicating with Mr. Spring, and I really think it's important to have that vertical alignment going from middle school to high school and being consistent with the way we discipline kids and it being consistent all the way from 5 to 12. A couple incidences I've run into at my level with disciplining kids, I feel like without having a point system, there's a lot more gray area involved versus more black and white. I think having that uniformity between buildings would be really beneficial. At our principals meeting last week, touched base with this, and we're the only school in our league that does not have some sort of uniformity on either both middle school and high school both have a point system, or neither one does. So I think having that consistency would be really important. So the goal would be to start that effective January 1st, and then any student that had any discipline issues at this point, they would not attribute any points. It would be essentially a clean slate starting in January. But that was the plan. There was be to inform parents of that change to the handbook, and I had a link for a copy of it, and it's almost verbatim the same as the middle school in terms of following that guideline for point system. So if anybody has any questions on that, I'd be glad to answer some on justification on that one.
I appreciate that you took the initiative to do that, and it's only October 13th.
Yeah, well, you know, it's when you see something that you can see down the road being more problematic, you try to get on as quick as possible. So I also thank Mr. Spring a lot, because we've met and talked a lot about this, and we're both in lockstep. This is pretty important for both of our buildings to be doing the same in terms of, you know, keeping it consistent.
I have a question. I don't know if I understood you right now. Are you saying we are already doing this in the middle school? Do you want to keep doing it in the high school, or we're not doing it in either yet?
We're not, it's at the middle school. It went away at the high school.
Okay.
So
So it would have been, what Stacy Reed's last year would have been the
So
last
quick,
year.
yeah, quick
That was
historical
in tax.
perspective, quick historical perspective. Stacy Reed, Dave Watkins, they did work with the point system, and it was universal 5 through 12. When Jody Grover and Taylor Wilson came in as administration, they wanted to go to more towards a restorative justice type model of a disciplinary type scenario. You know, Lee and Ariane have talked to me about this. Going back to the point system, I'm very much in favor of it. I support their thoughts and their ideas on this, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like what I see. I personally, to me, if it's in writing ahead of time, I think that's much better. You can't get the judgment call quite as much, and it does have a variety of point levels. So, I mean, if it's working already in the middle school, it gives you guys enough flexibility that you can make that call. I think my only concern, and I mean, you guys would be able to manage that, is making sure that if we judge something as a 3-point issue with this person, and it's very similar with this person, it's a 3-point there.
Absolutely.
You know, which I have every confidence you guys can do that. That's the only place I could see there being any kind of pushback from anybody, especially if this is put out to all the parents ahead of time. So I like it personally.
I like the black and white. I don't know where I get that. Black and white.
Just smile and wave.
Great, so.
Thank you, Lee.
And then I had a second one on there too. So part of our BLT initiative with our staff, trying to promote and give our kids some rewards for doing the right thing in attendance and grades at the end of the semester. And part of our initiative, and this idea is not something new to Burlington, lots of high schools do this, but essentially the last 2 days of the semester, if you look at the bottom of that last page, I don't know if it may not be on your sheet or not, but essentially students would have the opportunity to be able to opt out of finals if they have an A in a class and 3 or less unexcused absences, a B and then 2 or less unexcused absences, a C and then 1. So if they met those requirements, they would be able to opt out of those finals. So essentially, if there's a student in good standing and has a 4.0 those last 2 days of the year, they'd be able to opt out of all those finals if they wanted to. And really trying to promote, hey, if you're doing everything right throughout the entire semester, this is one of your benefits. You don't have to be here for finals. You've done everything right. You can take the final if you want, only to get a better grade. It can't affect it negatively. And this is up to the teacher's discretion in every one of their classes. So the students will have to have these signed off. We'll give them a 2-week requirement of bump time so we can plan ahead, communicate transportation, communicate our attendance, and then that way the last 2 days of the semester, If a student has had the opportunity to opt out, they don't have to be there for those finals. And really trying to promote, hey, if you've done everything right for a semester, this is your reward the last 2 days. You don't have to be here. Communicated this with our BLT team. They're all in favor of it. In the past, we haven't really done finals before, so this is something that as a staff, we're gonna have to make sure that, we're working towards and giving them a traditional final that we're all familiar with. But this is something that, with our uptick in attendance issues, this is just something really small to start with that I thought would be beneficial for our kids. And if they've done the right thing for 4 months, these last 2 days of the school year, you could opt out of potentially 1, 3, 5, all of your finals and not have to be there if you've met those requirements. So, I'd like to be able to implement that this semester, and then at our next awards assembly, be able to announce this to our students. It really doesn't change anything in terms of what they're doing already. It's just letting them know that if you continue on this course, this is something that you will get in December.
So most of the classes in the high school don't have a final type exam at the end of the semester?
It's just an extended unit exam. So like
Okay.
Chapter 12, be a
Okay.
Chapter 12 test. There's no cumulative final.
Okay.
So this is something that our school has not done. So if this were to go through, that would be something in the next 2 months that we would have to work on with our staff, is to have an actual final for them to do, so that, it's worth the student's time to earn the right to not have to be there. So there's a schedule on there. The schedule doesn't change. We communicated with our cafeteria staff. We would provide 1 lunch on that day instead of having 2, because potential not having as many kids there, and that's the goal. We'd like to have, if there's 100 kids not at school that day, that'd be great. So our food service staff is prepared to have just 1 lunch if needed. And then our staff will still have that following Monday to grade all of these so-called finals on that work day. So really the only thing left to do would be to get it approved and then announce it to our staff. And then the last 2 weeks of the year, get all this documentation so the students know which finals they need to be there for and not. And then as a staff, it's our responsibility to work out those kinks and then move forward and see how we can make it better.
Craig, how does this affect us getting with student hours for the year, classroom hours?
We're still in session, so we're still good.
Okay, so some students would be allowed to leave, it'd be an excused absence on those days?
Correct.
Okay.
We're serving lunch, so it still counts as days.
Okay.
So, yep,
Okay.
we already,
That was my question.
yep, done the background work on that, met with Craig on it, but I think it'd be nice for our kiddos, hey, the last 2 days, you guys have done everything, you're out, so.
So you mentioned that you talked to the building leadership team. Have you met with all the staff and they're on board about this? Or
I've conducted 2 meetings with our building leadership team, and then we're gonna send out a survey tomorrow to the rest of the staff. But initially, I have 9 people on our BLT team. They've conducted, they've met with the rest of the people on our staff, so this isn't just some random,
Right.
they're talking. So this is not just me doing this and nobody's prepared for it. So our staff has met with other staff members on the side. Our BLT team is strongly in favor of doing this. It is a change because we haven't done a traditional final before. So when I brought this to their table, I wanted to make sure that they were okay with doing this because this is a change for them. And they were all in favor of it. And I've told them to talk to other staff members that are not part of the BLT team. And then, so it would not have gone through if the BLT team was not in favor of doing this. So this is not a Lee Baldwin decision. This is our BLT team and our school thinking this is the best thing for our kiddos, so.
Well, I appreciate that in the past, this board's kind of harped about truancy and attendance and stuff, and to see a plan come up. I know we make phone calls and ask about why your kids aren't in school and all that stuff, so to see a plan that specifically addresses coming to school, I really appreciate that, and I think it sounds like it'll work out.
Yeah, I like the idea personally. That half day off I think it'll have a lot of, in some kids' heads, it'll make a big deal. It'll be a big deal.
Yeah, some kids may get the whole last 2
Right.
days.
Right.
If you're a 4.0 and you're showing up every day, or even a 3.5 5. I mean, you got essentially got 2 days off you want to.
Right.
And you can still come for lunch, you won't be there.
Okay, anything else for me?
Thank you.
You're up, James.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Lindsay, go ahead.
Ted first.
Yes, Texas.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Just to kind of reiterate kind of what's in my report, we do have our Skyward Business conversion coming up. Starting on October 31st, we'll be out of the system for a week or two, hopefully just a week. We will be visiting with all staff because we will have to have paper time cards for hourly workers for that week, and we'll be limited on our ability to do requisitions during that time. I may have to do some manual requisitions for a week, but looking forward to getting both systems to one platform again after being half and half for half a year now. And so that's coming up. I did attend our annual E-rate training today. The new 5-year cycle starts with this year, 2025 through 2030. The per student has gone up from 167 and some cents to 201 and 57 cents. So that's a benefit. And the program, last year, we kind of reported that there was a risk of it going away. The Supreme Court has determined that it is not an illegal program. E-rate is actually funded by the universal service fee that's on every mobile and home phone. It's usually you see it as USF, and so that's how that program is funded. So it's not really. I mean, it is a fee tax, but it's not like a Congress apportioned tax. And so there was a question about that. It's been upheld. The program's been around since the 1990s through many administrations, so it's good to see that it is going to continue, and the funding has actually gone up for the Category 2 devices.
Okay, anything else for Craig? Anything else, Nancy?
So real quick, I know I usually talk a really long time, but the reports that usually I go with are para numbers. We were down to 3-ish, maybe 4 openings. I will say there's a little bit of an uptick right now, with not a huge tick on applicants. So, and when I say up, we're probably at 6. I mean, still in a really good position for where we usually are, but also still could have some holes. But I also have a guest from the middle school. Ann Bates is here really to give a quick presentation. She brought this to the high school, middle school, Craig and I, a little while back, and we asked her to put something together for you because that kind of sounded like a really good idea and that you should know more about it. So talk about special Olympics.
So yeah, I was here to talk about Special Olympics and unified sports. So okay, so I know I introduced myself earlier, but I don't know a whole lot of people in this room. I just moved here last June with my family. My husband Jason is a 244 product, so he is a Burlington boy, but I am not. I grew up in Paola, but I came from Iola. I taught 10 years at the high school there, low incidence special ed. And in those 10 years, I helped coach the Special Olympics team there. In my last 4 years there, I took over as the head coach, and we created a unified sports team within the district there. And I added on there in 2022, we had a very exciting fall. We won 2 national awards for our Special Olympics and unified sports team. So that was pretty exciting for us there in Iola. But just if anybody's not familiar, Special Olympics is a program offered through Special Olympics Kansas that provides athletic events for people with intellectual disabilities. And then Unified Sports, which is within the Special Olympics world, but a different program, is where it's basically Special Olympics, but you pair those athletes with their non-identified peers, and they participate and train and compete in different sporting events throughout the year. So those are like the official quotes from the Special Olympics website. So I'm not going to read all that to you, but that is what basically I'm proposing to you guys today. So I just included kind of the stuff we went over in our meeting with Mr. Marshall and the other admin to present to you guys because there were questions they had for me. So just to have everybody on the same page. As far as coaching staff in Iola, and I'm going to talk about my experience in Iola because that's really all I know, and it seemed to work out well. So in Iola, I was the head coach and I had to get certified through Special Olympics Kansas for the different individual sports we participated in. There was a couple other training sessions that I'd have to do and that type of thing. And then assistant coaches, which were basically the teachers and paras within the other low incidence special ed rooms, were my assistant coaches. And they had to do a couple trainings as well, not as in depth as what I did, but there was training that they had to do. All of the training is provided by Special Olympics Kansas for free, so it wouldn't cost the district anything to get everybody certified and trained and ready to go on that. I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so for athletes and buddies, and again, this is just taken off the Special Olympics Kansas website. So to be eligible to be an athlete, you have to be 8 years old and you have to have a diagnosed intellectual disability, either that can be the primary disability on someone's IEP or a doctor's diagnosis, but that is the eligibility to be an athlete. A peer buddies eligibility is basically any student that is interested that does not have that intellectual disability diagnosis. When I was in Iola, I was at the high school, so I only did it with high school students, but when we were there, I kind of did like an application process to get kids that I knew would do a good job with the athletes and that type of thing. And we talked about that in our meeting, that is something we wanted to do here as well going forward. Both athletes and buddies would have required paperwork through Special Olympics Kansas. It's basically like a registration form. Athletes would need to get a physical done, and Special Olympics provides all that paperwork. All I have to do is print it off and send it home. So yeah. This is a basic outline of how the year would go. It is a full school year sport, if you will. So the fall is typically bowling and cornhole season. Winter is basketball and cheerleading. Spring is track and field and bocce ball. And the fall season, they do offer through Keisha Unified Bowling. So all these events right here are offered through Special Olympics Kansas, but the Unified Bowling is actually a sanctioned Keisha sport, and we did that when I was in Iola, we did that for 3 years. And it was pretty cool because the athletes, they got a varsity letter for it. They got a pin to put on their letter every year they participated. And so buddies and athletes got those varsity letters to put on. So that was really motivating for some kids there. So if we wanted to add that on for this fall, but if we wanted to add that on for next year, I would just have to talk to somebody about all the Keisha rules for that program, adding it on. But that's pretty much it. How we did handled practices in Iola, we did all of our practices during the school day, usually the very last hour and a half of the day. We would, for bowling practice, we rented out a bowling alley in town. We always did the bowling alley in Chanute because it's a little bit closer, but the closest bowling alley here is the one in Yates Center. So we would do that for bowling practice. And again, in Iola for basketball and cheer, I would just contact the rec director, and he would always set us up for some afternoons there to practice for basketball and cheer. And then track was super easy. I just put everybody on the bus and we went to the track. And then for cornhole and bocce ball, that was super easy too. If it was nice out, we'd just go take our equipment outside and do it on the front lawn. If it wasn't, if the gym was available, we took it to the gym and did it there. So I tried to keep practices during the school day because, and I'm sure it's the same here in Iola, with being such a small community, most of our peer buddies that were interested in doing it were already varsity athletes, so they were very busy after school. So it was much easier to get everybody together during the school day. So that's why we had it set up that way for practices. Okay, funding, again, this is what we did in Iola and it seemed to work. We had, so Special Olympics and Unified Sports, we just had an account through the district like any other sport or activity would have. There are no entry fees to go to these Special Olympics events throughout the year. The biggest yearly cost that I had was we would have to pay for the bowling alley to rent it out for practices. So that was really the only expense we had unless we were buying like new team t-shirts that year or something, which I only had to do, I think, twice when I was there. But the bowling alley is definitely the biggest expense yearly. And then in our meeting a couple weeks ago, Coach A was fiddling around on the Special Olympics website and she found some grants that Special Olympics offers for funding as well, so that's always an option we could look into. So in our meeting, uniforms and equipment question came up. So in Iola, we just had team t-shirts that we wore to events, to our bowling events, track and field. The only times we didn't wear them was to our basketball events because the basketball coach in Iola gave me a huge trash bag of old basketball uniforms. So we wore those and the kids thought it was the greatest thing ever that they got to wear a Mustang uniform. And same thing with cheerleading. The cheer coach gave me a big tote of old pom-poms and whatnot. So that's always an option to borrow things that are in storage if you need to. And then for equipment, most of the equipment can be borrowed from the PE departments, varsity teams, rec center. I don't foresee us needing to buy a whole bunch of equipment. The only thing I would think of is specialized equipment. So like ramps for bowling, or I know in track and field, they throw the turbo jab. So just specialized equipment for that type of thing would be the only equipment purchases probably. This program does require some transportation that needs to be provided by the district. Competition events are all day during the school day, so we would leave in the morning, get back in the afternoon, so that would require some transportation help from the district, and if practices require transportation, we would need that to the bowling alley or getting elementary kids over to the rec center, that type of thing. Okay, and I'm not going to read all of those to you, but I did reach out to some of the admin in Iola just to have them share their thoughts with you on this program and the impact it made, not only on the district, but the community of Iola as a whole. It was cool for me to see it because I was seeing it firsthand, how it was changing our school community and just the outside community. But it was really cool to hear their thoughts about it because I never really sat down and talked to them about it in Iola, so it was kind of cool to hear those things from them. Okay, and that's it. So do you have any questions for me?
Oh, I did have one question. Is there a max age?
So the school-based one, it goes until they graduate. So special ed students are qualified to go to school until they're 21. So whether they graduate at 18 or 21, it doesn't matter as long as they are still enrolled in school. After that, they would then move into the senior program, which that doesn't age out for adults for special things.
And it would be offered for any student 8 years and older here, you would include all.
Right, athletes can be those kids with the intellectual disability diagnosis, and then peer buddies could be anybody else.
So when are the practices, or when do they practice?
Sure, so in Iola what we did, so bowling was in the fall, so typically we always had a bowling event like beginning of November. So I would try to schedule with the bowling alley like the Fridays, 3 Fridays before that event to go and have practice that afternoon. So same like we always had a track meet in Erie the first Wednesday of May. So I'd always try to get a track practice those 3 Fridays before that. Because I do have to take whatever events they're in, I have to take scores and send that into Special Olympics Kansas because they division out the brackets, if you will, to put kids that are more or similarly abled together, so it's a little more competitive and fair.
And so, 2 questions. So how long are those practices and the peer groups? Did they take out of school also to go to those practices?
So I usually did maybe like an hour 15 for practices, so not terribly long.
It's gonna be, bowling's gonna be a little longer because they got
Right,
practice.
because travel time, yeah, bowling would be the longest practice we would do.
Okay.
But so generally for like bowling, just as an example, is it one event that they're going to for the year, so like 3 practices, or is there multiple through that season?
Sure, so for bowling, for traditional Special Olympics, there's one event. For if we decided to do the unified through Keisha, that would have more events through it, but that would only be high school students.
Okay.
That's only for high school.
So
like,
in that case, the buddy person wouldn't miss a lot of extra class because it would just be a few times then.
right.
Okay.
Like 4 days, 3
Yeah.
practices and an event.
Right, okay. Sorry, I apologize for interrupting you.
That's fine.
The admins are on board.
100%.
One thing we also
Right.
talked about was, if we needed cornhole boards made, that maybe Mr. Buck could help make those, or, just another way to keep people involved in things. I think that everybody will latch on and really like this, so.
Personally, I love it.
Yeah, I think it's
Me too,
great.
that sounds great.
I appreciate you bringing it, I think it's awesome.
Arian, do you see any, with our athletic funding, do you see any issues with bringing on something of this size throughout the year?
Well, like she said, the Special Olympic stuff, they can borrow things from PE, or if we need more equipment, we can try to balance that out with PE using it, so that wouldn't be anything.
Okay.
And then, we talked about when they go in, if it's a Keisha sport, we would just, ask for her to be a new hire and go through that whole process the same way, and, it gives more kids opportunities to participate.
And theoretically, we could do the bowling thing at the lower level until we know we have some, and then move it up, right?
Oh, sure.
It wouldn't be something we'd have to do year 1,
Right.
Okay.
And that's what we also, sorry, Ariana, what we also talked about is we're already mid-fall, right? So like, what can we maybe realistically do this year? Maybe it's 1, or maybe it is 2 full seasons, but like, just to get going, but get the ball rolling, so in the future we can grow it more. The other thing that because, and you guys mentioned this earlier in the public comment, or the written comments, is we have that great relationship with the rec. I'm sure, not only from practice, but if they have supplies and materials or whatever, I bet they would also jump on board with this and be
And we can support funding for certain items they need.
We just had, Ms. Becker just took 5 kids bowling last week, and they had a wonderful time. So I know that they would very much enjoy themselves.
And Ann has already reached out both to the high school, Mrs. Becker, and to the elementary school about kind of numbers and things like that too, to get a feel for what that might look like, so.
For transportation, would you be looking at a van or a bus?
I mean, it would depend on the number of kids we had and the needs. Like in Iola, I always had multiple students in wheelchairs, so we always had to have the bus that was accessible. But it would just depend on numbers and needs, really.
And you're gonna take quite a few staff as well, typically.
Great, yeah.
So what do you need from us to say yes?
I mean, that's why I'm here.
I shared with you guys some information in the Friday report that I put out, and I said we're very much in favor of this, and I think we can make it happen. And it's another very good thing we do here.
Do we need to take like an official vote or anything on this? Just, we all agree kind of thing?
Correct.
Go forth.
Great.
Thank you. Great. Thank you very much.
I'm sad for Iola that they're old friends. That they miss you.
Make the beat on Anything else, Lindsay?
I know, that's all.
Thank you.
Unless you guys have questions.
No, I don't think so. Transportation, is he here?
No, but they, again, quarterly, we're going to try to do a report for them once every 3 months. And Brian submitted a report to you as well as some information from food service, our director Anastasia, and maintenance director Margarita.
I like hearing in the food, or maybe it's in your report, how many more kids or, yeah, the numbers.
Eating, yeah.
And we are up this month over, right at 600
yeah.
meals at the high school and the elementary school served.
So much
And then about 250 meals at the middle school. So we've served about 1,450 additional meals district-wide this month. It is amazing.
The staff is eating.
Yes.
I would say, I've heard nothing but good things in our house, so.
It has been a very, very positive initiative change for us.
And I'll add that we had our video board sponsors, the ones that have sponsored the video board. They came last week during lunch and they got to choose the lunch from OPA, and they are all like, oh, this is so good. So even the adults have had it.
I like that we had them come and experience that.
Yeah, and then the overall experience of the whole meeting and then getting to see the board and ask questions about it was really positive.
Were they happy with how it looked?
Mhm. And we're going to continue to grow in how we use it and what it can do, and we're just still learning and figuring all that out. So.
Outstanding.
Great.
And the middle school has done a Friday's pizza with the
Yeah,
police.
Police Over Pizza, it's 100% sponsored by OPA. And so, hey, if you're in uniform, stop by. That's the only requirement. So, the PD sends two officers.
Any kind of uniform?
You gotta be a police coming up. I guess.
Halloween.
Yeah.
So the PD sends two, typically to our first lunch, and then the sheriff's office sends two to our second lunch, and they just move around and talk to kids, and, you know, it's just another positive adult in their life, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
So Ron, you're more than welcome to stop in uniform.
It has definitely been a very positive switch at BTS, for sure.
Yes.
So any more questions on transportation maintenance or OPA?
No, I do appreciate you having put that in there. It's nice to see that.
Yes, it is very good.
We should expect to see this every 3 months, is that what you said?
Quarterly, once every 3 months, quarterly.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, Craig, you're up.
I have a lot of information, but I'm just going to scan through a number of things. Again, organizational reports, the principal's building reports, the superintendent's organizational reports. There's a lot of work that goes into that. It definitely takes a village to do all of that, that data entry piece. So again, thank you to everybody involved in that. We have a half-day staff development coming up on the 20th, as well as a half-day of work day there. I mean, it's hard to believe it's into the first 9 weeks coming up Friday, so a quarter of the year is already over. KISA is a very important part of our accreditation. Again, our district is fully accredited, not all districts are. So we just have, like I said, a lot of things going on in a very positive manner here. And we had our recent visit from Gene Rush at KSDE in terms of our KISA accreditation. And we are doing very, very well. In the event of time, I'm not going to show the video here, but it's a short video. If you're interested, you can watch it that the State Department put out in regards to state assessment cut scores and the adjustments that are occurring. There's a whole list of things talking about student success in our strategic plan, and we continue to discuss that as administrators with our staff. They're posted all throughout our buildings, throughout elementary, middle, high school, everywhere for the things that we're doing in terms of that student success. And another example of our student success piece is what we're going to be ready to do with Ann and the special education, some of the Special Olympics program that will be added in there as we get that off the ground. And there's just so much happening. We are so blessed and so fortunate to be here in Burlington and have the things going on that we have going on. And we just want to keep making them better and taking the next step forward in all areas to be even better than we currently are. So one of those programs that we have put in place is the Burlington Early Learning Center. And Lexi Melota and Lacey Johnson are here. We went to the county commissioners, it was last Monday, I think it was, did a presentation, and you see an attachment that you should see that we presented to them in talking a little bit about what we would like to see, maybe a little bit of help from them and the county commissioners in terms of our Burlington Early Learning Center, because right now we're the only center in Coffee County right now that's taking infants. There's nobody else is. Waverly Center is
Lebo
looking.
is looking to expand to have infants, but that's only adding like 6 infant spots.
Yes.
We will have about 16 at least, more on the wait list come June.
So currently, right now, we are setting at 53, 54 students approximately at the Belk, and then we've got a waiting list of right at 50. About half of those approximately, or slightly more, are infants. And so we could almost open a second center, if you will. We've got 50 on the waiting list. And so the county commissioners, we wanted to pursue if you will, like, I want to say a merit-based, one-time only, retention type bonus with them. In terms of being able to help us out, because again, they're helping, obviously, we're helping them in the county, providing a place for daycare for people that are employed, whether it be the schools, or the county, or the city, or different entities. And so we talked to them about this. They came back to us in the conversations that we had that they would be interested in contributing $15,000 if we could come up with the other part, the $15,000, the other half. Again, talking with you guys in the past, we have not committed any LOB funds or general fund money towards the Belk. It is completely run on, fees, grants, donations, whatever, we end up with in terms of raising money for the Belk. We have tried to keep fees low. When we do increases in fees, that's when we can usually try to do increases in salaries. So again, this is a conversation for you guys. Lexi and Lacey are here. In terms of any questions that you might have for them, any questions you might have for me, in terms of potentially looking at this, as far as a $15,000 contribution towards the Belk from the school district. Now, they did not say at the meeting, they didn't say if the school district doesn't contribute 15, they won't do 15. They may, I don't know, I'd have to go back and ask them. They may contribute 15, but I'd have to go back, we'd have to go back and ask them. And we're scheduled to be on their agenda for next Monday. So let's see, Lacey, I don't know if you have anything else.
Well, most of what we presented to them is like how we would be able to increase our incoming income. And that would be either increasing rates, and we just did that in August to account for increasing cost of everything in the economy, operational costs and things like that. We did have some numbers to present them to from, and you guys are welcome to get this information as well. It's from Child Care Aware. And we are currently charging the highest rates in the area for child care, so we can't really go too high. So right now we're trying to balance the scales between affordability for child care in the area, because we don't want it to only be for the top earners in the county. We want everyone to be able to afford to work. And then also on that, the other end, we pay 10, 15 hours starting, and that's pretty low also for the area. So we're just kind of looking to balance that out so we can have good staff retention. It is a high burnout job for not very much compensation. I wouldn't be able to do my job without my husband's income, simply put. So yeah, so we're just advocating for our staff. That's the backbone of our operations, and we would love to expand in the future, and we're looking at that too, but we need staffing to be really solid and maintain the staff we have first.
The grants we've come across are not for sustainability. We all want some project that we're working on expanding, but first we have to keep our quality staff that we have right now.
How many staff do you guys have?
25.
Full and part-time staff are right at 25 approximately.
Is the rate for childcare different, whether it's an infant or an older child?
Yes. So, for every infant spot, we're losing about $300, we did the math, because of the ratios. So in a classroom with only preschool kids that are like 3 and up, we can have 24 of those in a classroom with 2 teachers. For an infant classroom, that ratio is 1 to 3. So it's 1 to 12 in older ones and 1 to 3 for infants. So we're losing a lot of spots that we could fill in that regard. But if we don't have anywhere for the infants to go in the county, that loses a lot of workers in the county. And so I'm not sure what they would do when it comes to childcare.
Currently, how many infants do you have?
Right now, we have 9, let's see, 2 incoming. By June, we will have 16 needing care, at least over 16. But that's current staff and current families needing care, and then we have, by June. We'll have to be turning people away at that point.
Yeah, and that's current families and
Current
staff. We don't have room for everybody.
You say you'll have.
So if you have a current family and they're gonna have a
Say
baby,
you're
then
turning
take them
people
first.
We'll have to,
Yeah.
come June. So I have a spreadsheet that kind of, I have to input their date of birth, and then it'll calculate how old they will be. When they hit a certain age, they have to go to the next classroom. So when they are 1 and walking, they can no longer be in the infant room. They have to be in the mixed room or toddler room. When they hit 2 1/2, they can no longer be in one side of the building. They have to be in a certain classroom for 2 1/2 and up. So the state requirements make it difficult, and that's why we are not at our like 74 capacity that the building has, is because of the ratio requirements for state regulations. So.
If we're the only ones that are offering the infant care, could we not raise the infant cost to make up for some of that difference?
We could.
Good.
It would be hard on the community, and I'm not sure if parents would stay home just because they don't want to pay like that much. Like,
How much is it for care? 220.
220.
And how much is it for older kids?
$195 a week.
So we're only charging $25 more, but we require a third teacher.
Well, the state requires it.
Right. The state requires a third teacher to cover the same number of kids.
They don't help you.
Yeah. Most women would probably choose to stay home. Like, speaking from experience, would probably choose to stay home rather than send their infant to daycare if.
No, I totally understand that.
Yeah, so we're trying to balance that, but.
Right, and I totally get that. I totally get that you don't want to raise the price above at the same time if it's not sustainable. And the idea that somebody's spending all day in there with infants and dealing with everything that goes with that and making $10.50 an hour is hard for me to stomach too.
So the LOB money, can you describe, Craig, could you describe LOB, like, would that take away from staff salaries?
It could, yes. It would. Local option budget, general fund are how we predominantly fund staff salaries.
How much do you have now? I mean,
Well, we just have, if that is the direction that the board wants to go, we just have to pull $15,000 out of general fund or LOB, most likely LOB. There are some school districts who have daycares, and they fund, they up to upwards of, one just recently I spoke to, $25,000 a year they have out of their general fund or LOB to fund their daycare, because they see it as staff recruitment, incentive, kids coming into their preschool, their daycare, they're going to stay with them for K through 12 education, and then they'll get the funding from the state. This year's $5,615 for base aid for student excellence. So again, that's some school districts.
well, personally, I do support it. I support
Well, I think
50,000.
I think we're, when we first started this, we said we're not gonna take any money out of the Joe Fund or do any of that to provide this daycare. But I think it's proven to be very, very valuable to this community.
I would say the kids that are attending the Belk or another form of daycare come into Burlington Elementary School better prepared to be kindergartners. And so, I mean, that's the benefit. We never dreamed 10 years ago we'd be dealing with little tiny infants at the Belk. birth to age 5, we didn't have a daycare at that time. So again, this would allow us to support, again, to be a one-time type thing. I'm not a proponent, we like, you know, Bob mentioned the sustainability thing. You know, and again, I'll throw this out just because I need to say it, but if we didn't have infants, the Belk would be profitable because we would have more kids. But again, nobody's taking care of infants, so that's important. It is important that we help out in that respect. But if we, you know, some daycares typically start at age 2, age 3 to 5, because you know the challenges that we face in terms of infants.
And every daycare is out. If you're a daycare center, infants, they're losing.
If you're certified.
Well, if you're licensed, but a daycare center is. I mean, it's not like we're losing money and other daycare centers, not in Coffee County, are making money.
They don't take
Infants
it.
are not.
They're not taking it.
No,
And I
they're-
will- and I will-
is taking that risk
and I
of
will-
having infant care because they see the need, so.
And
I mean, you know, I think, you know, times have changed. 10 years ago, we didn't have that. Times have changed.
I am in support of us doing this as a one-time fix. My only concern is we're slapping a Band-Aid on it.
Right.
And we're not really fixing the issue. What happens in next year or the year after when we're still making $10.50 an hour or $12 an hour or whatever, and we have the same issue? There's always gonna be new babies. And,
It's mostly just about our staff right now and just appreciating them.
yeah.
We've got a really solid team and they just deserve a little bit.
That was my next question. So what is $30,000 gonna do for you?
Between 27 people.
I think that
I mean, 30,000 came from somewhere, so.
what we're trying to do is that, I'm going to say it's going to be a merit-based type incentive pay in terms, or not incentive, excuse me, merit-based type,
Retention.
thank you, retention bonus. One time only. It's not going to be on their salary. It's not like they're going from $13 an hour to $14 an hour. It's going to be a one-time only. It's going to be helpful at Christmas. It'll be a very nice, if you will, type Christmas bonus. And so we would work on the parameters as far as the dollars and cents of it all, because this is the first time we've done it. So Lacey, Lexi, and I would get together, we'd figure out full-time versus part-time. How do we make it happen? We got work to do if this ends up moving forward, so.
And we do staff evaluations, so that would play into it. It wouldn't just be I choose to give you this much.
Staff evaluations, attendance.
Based on evaluations and like their record of attendance, their record of like compliance, stuff like that. We would bring all of that to the table with this discussion too.
Well,
So-
Craig, I'd say you and Christie look at the budget more so than what we all do. Can we afford it?
I do believe we can, but it's going to take us some maneuvering, and there will be, it will,
I think that, yeah,
go ahead, please.
I think that there might be some places that we can look that don't involve our LOB and our general fund, including
So one conversation that I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
including area of Gibson grants, for example, that balance has gone up a little bit. I'd like to look at very closely what what monies have been donated to the school for projects that are complete and done, that have had in excess of, right? I'd like to look at that very closely before we consider taking it from LOB or general.
Right. We'd rather have it, and I'm glad you brought that up. The gifts and grants is something that Christy and I have been talking about. Typically, when somebody gives a donation to the school, let's say they give $500 for Reality U or $250 for Reality U, we focus that and we get that to that item. Since I've been here, gifts and grants has gone up, and I don't know before I got here if there was money donated that just came to the district and said, use it as you see fit. We don't know. So we are going to go back and do a little bit of work and see if we can find, we may not have to use LOB money, we may not have to use, general fund money. If we go back and do some research here and figure out if we have some gifts and grants money that could potentially work in this case, that will help out in this situation.
Well, I'd say that you and Christie could work toward that, and that certainly that would help if the county could give us $15,000 at least and say we'll cover the other 15, at least now, and then I don't know if we cover any more than that.
I would agree.
If everybody's in agreement with that?
I would agree with that. I do struggle that it's a slippery slope with kind of saying that we're gonna take money that hasn't just been earmarked grant money for development. I sat in a room and talked with our union members and told them we weren't gonna spend any money out of general fund or LOB on this, and I meant that when I said it. But like Monique said, that was how many years ago, and things are changing, but we need to keep that conversation going. So I'm in favor for moving forward with finding the matching monies.
And then you guys continue to look for grants and all that stuff. So.
I was gonna say, so, and maybe that money's been spent, but I know we've raised over 6,000, just, we want another one coming up. And maybe that money's already been
Maybe
spent. I don't
we
know.
can come up with something on the foundation.
If I could do it full-time, I would absolutely.
I will keep you guys informed. We're gonna try to do some work this week on that. Maybe I can give you some more information on if we have that money and we feel comfortable out of gifts and grants. We don't want to take money out of gifts and grants that has been earmarked for something else. So that's our analysis piece, but anyway, we've noticed there's that gifts and grants line has increased a little bit over the years.
So, say we have a plan,
So I will keep you guys informed by Friday.
And if you do ever have any ideas for how to raise money or anything like that, then we are all ears. We are doing a little fundraiser, which it is usually only paying the same amount that we spent on it. Like personally, what I spend on it, not about spending on it. Usually I'm just donating money to the center, so that ends up working. But we have our fall family fun night coming up, and that's usually a big success with how many families we have. We are charging $5 per person, so if you want to get on our Facebook page, you can share that post and spread the word. We have carnival games put on by our staff. We have, I have some friends that bring in hay bales, and I put together hay maze and a little corn pit, and I have a little toddler bounce castle in my basement. I don't know why, I have it. So we bring that out, so it's a lot of fun. So any little thing we can do for the community, we like to try to do just to get it out there and get it. But our hope is mainly not just to ask for money, it's also to bring awareness to like the need for childcare and how much that has, even though we're meeting in need, like the need has grown. So kind of keeping that discussion open and the collaboration with the school and the community and everything, so.
Well, I'd say you guys have done an outstanding job, and we want you to continue to succeed and do what we can.
I think when this started, this is
We had no idea.
this is a probably wanted that we could provide this, and we knew it would be challenging, and we knew it would be tough, and we knew it would be money. But like you say, there's all families that were served, so I appreciate that, and it's hard.
The two moms that are here, anything?
Please don't raise the cost. $2,500 a month. I just don't know what to do without it. It is a lot. That's just.
Well, a lot of it can work, I mean, really. So.
Yeah.
Roger that. You got it.
I'm pregnant, so.
You're keeping us
Were you
busy.
I don't know.
Lexi, were you counting that number in your calculation?
Yep, and that's 16.
That's one of the
She's
16, huh, right there.
No, I get it, like I totally do. Well, I'm a grandma, and when, so it's no secret that my son-in-law passed away of COVID. And when we had to finally send Halen to daycare, it was, I was thinking of it, and everything. I totally get it. Totally get it.
Well, we appreciate you guys listening to us.
Thank you.
I'm just very passionate about the little citizens of Coffee County.
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing such a great job at the milk.
Yes.
Thank you for organizing that.
Yes.
Great job.
You guys are more than welcome to stay if you want. You need to go. We understand you got little kids. And the last thing I have on my list here, Kimberly from West Point is here. She has an update. She got to get a couple of different items our upcoming property and casualty review. We got some information from her today. So really, you want to cover a couple, 3 items?
Yes, you have the renewal comparison there on the screen and in front of you, I believe. And first of all, I appreciate, as always, TrustPoint appreciates the opportunity to work with the school district and your administration and your staff. And Angela, myself, and Craig did a walkabout of the facilities recently to look at various updates and find out what they are. Go ahead, son. No, you're good. And trying to find ways to provide available credits back to the insurance company, because you guys do your diligence, you do your maintenance, you do the right things. So we want to make sure that you're getting every available credit on your policies. So with that, another little preface is the fact with the property, we have really nice buildings, well maintained, and they're of substantial value. And so over the last several years, we've seen those property rates increase dramatically, and also just the replacement cost of those buildings are, with higher, the higher costs of building materials and labor over the economy. So we've had to endure some of those those increases with your policy as well. This year, I know 10% doesn't seem, like a lot, but this is very low from what we're seeing in the industry. So your blanket rate increase this year is only 10%, and I say only like it's major, but it is. I mean, considering the increases that we've seen in the last, 3 to 4 years. So overall, your total insured property blanket coming November 1st is a little over $107 million. And so with that property rate increase, that is probably the most significant increase on this overall package renewal this year of approximately $35,000. Your inland marine is your mobile equipment, and it remains stable. The values remain stable. The rate remains stable, so there's no increases there. General liability, these rates, EMC did file a little higher increase in rates per your classification codes for your exposures. The numbers that like your faculty, your student counts, those haven't been updated yet, but I did get those today, and so they will be updated before November 1st. But the impact, the difference will be minimal compared to what number I have on as far as your renewal premium for general liability right now. But those will be updated. Wanted to point that out. So there is about a $1,300 increase in your liability portion. Crime and fidelity, everything remained flat. No rate increases there, so we've maintained in that line of business. Your commercial auto, we did have some changes of some vehicles, so there is some additional premiums with that newer vehicle and the physical damage coverage that comes with that the school district has on their vehicles. But the auto line did take a 15% rate increase. Anytime you're in the business of delivering and transporting children, so that's a livery risk. And even transportation services across the industry is seeing increased rate in that, and the Federal Transportation Safety Administration is looking at increasing possibility of the amount of liability that you have. You guys are still fine at $1 million at this time, But those changes are always fluctuating those costs. As you know, changes always fluctuate costs. So that's going to be a little bit, that's approximately $5,000. Work comp, major improvements in work comp. Twofold, your mod has gone down, 0.54, which is amazing.
That's yes.
This is a result of risk management, safety practices, the awareness that your employees have in where they're at. I mean, just being safer. So the kudos, that is a testament to your administration, your staff, keeping that in the forefront of your employees. The other piece of that is that you as a district took on a higher deductible per claimant last year. If you recall, it went from $500 per claimant deductible to a $2,000 per claimant deductible. So you were taking on a little bit more cost in the forefront to also bring those claims, to more ownership of those claims and keeping them low from the insurance standpoint and affecting your premiums. So twofold, this is excellent. We're going in the right direction. We're heading in the right direction. And as far as that decrease, you're looking at about $20,000 decrease from where you were last year. So that's awesome. I just can't even tote that enough.
What's the thing, 20,000 that says plus 25% rate increase?
That's the one below.
No, you're.
Always below, okay,
I thought the same thing earlier today. I thought the same thing earlier.
Note to self, enter down.
Yeah, space or something.
Yeah, Mr. Lolan would be just, tell me that's for sure. He's former teacher.
Typewriter teacher.
Yeah. Okay, your linebacker. This is your directors and officers coverage. This is your board decision-making liability, which not only extends, covers the board, but it extends your administration staff and your employees to any decision you make and protecting your civil assets as well. This is for wrongful acts, so on and so forth. This did take a 25% increase this year. That is the highest we've seen in the last 3 years. They've been taking rate increases each year. However, this is the highest rate increase in 1 year that they've taken in the last 3. And that is because more and more lawsuits are challenging public entities, and this is what affects that line. So you, as a board, have been affected by some claims of possible wrongdoing that actually, fortunately, have not come to fruition, which is great. But even though those claimants don't understand or don't realize the effects that has on monies down the road, this is what that effect is. And so, even though your limits didn't change, that rate increase, your total loss ratio in this line is over 300% right now because of the attorney's fees that you have actually had to sustain on the principal defense of the district. But that's why you have it. I mean, that's why you need it. So, I mean, and the other piece to this policy is it grows equity every year. I always want to throw that out there because this is a claims-made policy, which means that you need to, once you have a claim known, we should let EMC know. It's not necessarily that any action needs to be taken place. It could be just a lawsuit being filed immediately and action needs to be taken place. But if you know that there's a threat or a claim coming, we just put them on notice. And that's what triggers coverage. So with that retroactive date that you have on this policy, coverage goes back to September 9th of 1992. So again, you still have that coverage equity building every year with this policy. If something does swing its ugly head from back when Ronnie and I were in school in 1993, there would be coverage for it. Or Lucas was in school that time too. So that is a significant one.
Who's that?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm telling you how old they are. Well, me too. Your cyber liability policy, it remains stable. This, again, does cover first and third party limits and actions up to $250,000. That is huge because a lot of your cyber liability and cyber attacks are becoming more and more third party, meaning somebody's coercing somebody else in order to do the act to get it back to them. So it's ever expanding, ever changing, the tactics, the resource, all of it. It's dangerous, really. It's scary. Your liability, umbrella liability did see a little bit of an increase, but that was because of the rating of the underlying auto and GL changes, so it fluctuates with those. And then the property, wind, hail deductible buy down. This is that separate policy that we buy because of the school buildings themselves have such a high wind, hail deductible of $75,000. And what this policy does is buys that back down. So if we have a wind hail event, it buys $50,000 per occurrence back down to bring the district to a $25,000 deductible in that event. And it saves the budget that you all have to administer.
And that's the one that some of the buildings count as more than one building, right?
Yes, yes. The high school is actually considered 3 buildings due to fire rated doors and prior ISO inspections. And that one increased $5. So, I mean, little to nothing. But overall, you're looking at, with the give and take, you're looking at about $24,000 increase. But overall, that's only a 5% increase. I have not delivered that kind of good news to any of my municipalities in probably 3 to 4 years. So you're my first.
Yes.
So is there any questions that you have? I'm able to answer for you.
We get any rebate checks this year?
I'm sorry?
Rebate checks?
Oh, dividend check? The dividend program, I actually attended a EMC Connections event about a month and a half ago, and the school profitability is stable, so we are hopeful on our side. But they never told us whether they were looking at that. But if it's stable, we're hopeful.
1 year we got a rebate check.
Yes. Yeah.
When would you know that?
When will I know that?
Yeah.
When they tell me.
She'll be back. She'll be back to tell us.
No, but if I get a rebate check, I will be on your board meeting.
I didn't know it was like the same time every year.
I like it to be around 15,000.
I was thinking, that's exactly, I was like, well, there's that money right there.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and the reason that typically it's later, if I remember, I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but I think the last time we received a rebate check, it was right after the first year or so, because by the time they got all claims formulated and found what the profitability was and if it met their criteria for the dividend, because you have like our school district here, our expiration date, effective expiration date is November 1.
Okay.
A lot of schools run their fiscal year, which is July 1, June 30. And then there's some schools out there that run April to April, and so they have to formalize out their years, and then they get back to us. So I know that's not really the best answer, but yes, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you too. Any other questions? And I take harassment too. I mean, I think I know all of you, and you do a good job at it. James Higgins over there does, that's for sure. So, but no, if no other questions, I appreciate your time. Craig and Christy are amazing to work with, and so, and again, thank you for the opportunity that you've given Trust Point to work for you, because, you know, we're local. We are trying to sustain here locally just as the school district is, so we appreciate you just as much.
Well, I appreciate the explanation because it's definitely not my forte. So I
Sure.
appreciate that you made it
And I'm
understandable.
only, you know, whether it's Angela or myself, or even Janet, our other, my other agency owner, any of us, we're always available. If you have any questions, we're happy to meet with you at any time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Good job, Kimberly, thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank
And
you.
you're more than welcome to stay too, but if you'd like to leave, we'd like to stay.
Lucas is just wanting, move it on out, move it out now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to board member items, board reports. Anybody have anything?
So I do, sorry. So, I'd like to just briefly mention about the school foundation. We kind of we slowed down a little bit this summer because we were looking at doing a golf tournament, and then the golf course was closed, and with some change in administration. Anyway, so since then, since school started, Sarah Rice and I met with all the administrators, the elementary, middle, and high school about needs and wants, because we wanted to find out what they needed and wanted, not what a foundation would want them to have, right? And so we did that, and then we're gonna either meet with the foundation group in the next 2 Fridays, so I sent out an email to see when most people could meet. And so we're moving forward with that, and some examples, this is just briefly, the middle school mentioned a mentoring program, elementary, these are just examples. Funding for the elementary was funding going forward for 21st century. The high school talked about how if it was like a staff applying for funds, the flow of that, and what that looks like. So we have multiple, and there were lots more conversations, obviously. Then we just talked about some fundraising ideas and that type of thing. So we are moving forward and we're back, like getting going. So we're applying, we have the paperwork filled out for the 501c3, and that's huge because if you want to make a donation, you want it to be tax deductible, and we want that to happen, for all of our groups in our space. So we're getting excited about that. Then the other thing I wanted to ask about was, so I'd asked Craig about when there's a district-wide email, not like all emails, but like when there's like a district-wide email, I asked if there would be a way for board members to be on that. So an example that I can give, I'm not trying to get in any administration or any of that, but like when we have an opening for a teacher, like I had someone send me a message and they're like, did something happen that we have an immediate opening for something? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So it's like things like go out to all the school staff. That would be like, there's an opening. Well, I don't ever know, like I can say there's an opening or I can't say there's an opening because I didn't know it was put out school-wide. It's not about being in all the school emails. It was just like, if the whole district gets an email about something, like if I as a board member could be a part of the email, just because when people ask me a question, to be quite honest, I feel like I look stupid sometimes. So it's like, I don't know what you're talking about because I don't know, maybe I knew from Friday nights and I can't say it, or maybe I don't know, how did you know? And they're like, well, I got an email. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't even get an email. That's just something, and Craig said, maybe as a board talk about it. It wasn't about just school emails, it was just like when it's a district-wide one.
Yeah, it's me personally, I don't want all those emails, just what I need to know. If someone asks me and I don't know, I'll tell them I don't know. And I'll call Craig and be like, hey, what's this, and can I talk about it?
Right.
That's how I go with it. But if I don't know a lot of stuff, I'll just be honest.
And I don't really have to know, so it is just hard for me to be like, if I knew there was an opening on Friday in the Friday notes, and I know I can't talk about that, but then all of a sudden it's like, well, what's the opening about? I'm like, and they're like, well, I already know because you have an email, but you're a board member and you don't know about it?
I think there's an expectation sometimes from the public that we know everything, but it needs to be clarified that we don't.
Oh, I agree.
We get things at the board meeting. I don't expect to find out everything every day, so I ain't got time for that.
Do you think that there's district-wide emails?
No, I'm saying I don't have time for emails every day.
Right.
But if he can send me the particulars when I need to know, that fulfills my task. But that's just me in this seat. So that's just where I'm at.
So I think if Craig puts it in Friday note, I think you could ask him if it's public information. And so then that would allow you to share that. So to say, hey, because I think a lot of times we probably may have that in Friday notes, but not, he maybe hasn't emailed all the staff yet, maybe he has, I don't know. But at least then we could just ask him back, say, hey, is this public information yet, or is at least the staff administration, so that I can say, hey, there's an opening in the, fifth grade.
I had several people come to me this week asking me questions, and I'm like, there's a board meeting on Monday, and I'll get back to you after that. Because that's when we get our fulfilled information. So that's what I told them.
I think it'd be difficult to filter out without you asking what you want the emails on. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, I have people ask me questions, like, I have no idea. It's either on the website or it's not.
It's just like the old district emails. It's just hard to know, like, I feel like as a board member, I don't know things,
Yeah.
but everybody in the district knows it, but I don't know it. And I'm like,
To be honest with you, I think that's fine.
I think it's embarrassing.
You need to know that all staff needs to know that the back room at the high school needs to be locked. I mean, I can't imagine.
No, I have
how
no
many-
idea about that email. Like, I'm not saying that shit.
I know, but I'm saying that, Lee, how many off staff emails do you send out?
Me?
Yeah.
I try to keep it to one a day.
Yeah.
'cause
No, I'm not saying the high school.
Yeah.
I'm saying like an all districts email, like we have an opening in fourth grade. Anybody can apply. Well, then someone's asking me that, and I'm like,
So to
I
me,
don't really know.
so to me, the question there is, if we send that out all district and it's a fourth grade opening, we say, refer to Darla Long if you have any questions. So that should be that chain of command that should occur. If somebody has a question about their opening, it should talk to Darla. If it's a sixth grade opening for math,
Okay.
I mean, that's
You
just
missed
the
the
thought.
point, but I'll move on. That's not the point.
So you just want to be on the distribution list for all districts?
Yes. It's not about administrating, it's not about go to Darla and ask. It's
Is
just
that-
because
is
when
that
someone's
something
sitting, I'm like,
that
I don't know, let me
can-
see the email, like that, so then they have to forward me the email so I can decipher what the email is like. Anyway, it's not worth it.
Is that something that could happen, Craig?
There could be a board member mailing list that the board members could be added onto. The USD one, you would get a lot of emails that you would not need.
Right.
You may also get some emails that, I guess as a board member, perhaps you have a little bit more right, but, it may be, to all district, these two students have been having problems and.
That's not what I want.
I know, but that's the type that sometimes goes out.
Flu shots that we have this week, like when after school, I know what you're talking about, but like, I do think there's more, like, you would probably be like, after you started, because I'm even like on the all district, like, flu shots, delete, I don't, there's a lot of stuff that even I don't need, so I feel like you would like do the same thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps, but perhaps if it's something like an opening, it gets mailed to all district staff and board members.
Is that what's really got
Yeah, I
you?
mean,
Is
that,
the positions
multiple
available?
times, yes, multiple times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know if I can say that, because it'll be like, well, then it goes the other way. Well, you were told in Friday notes, and you can't say anything. Well, I know, but I can't figure that out.
I think that's a fine ask to know what openings we have in a district that we are governing, right?
I mean, that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, for that
but it's like,
specific
it's blown
thing.
out of proportion, it's not that way.
I think it's just that
Who sends that?
We
email
all
out?
staff, and really what we want is just,
You send out there's an opening.
She is the keeper of the openings. When we have an
So
opening.
could you add us onto those?
Yes, that is.
Okay. If you could add us onto the ones about openings, then I think that would resolve a lot of what you're asking
Yes,
for.
that would be great.
Yeah,
I mean, like, one example,
And I don't
was we
think
have an
that's-
immediate opening, and then
that's not gonna be
someone's
so
like,
many
did
emails.
somebody have an emergency? And I'm
So-
like, I have no idea what you're talking about, I'm sorry. I'm like, so, I don't feel like that's a very important for not noting something. I'm like, I mean, I easily could have said, no, we just have a fourth grade opening for next year, but I can't even answer that, because I don't know that point.
So a lot of times those are also posted already on our rev track when we do those.
I just
out to
not checking
everybody.
anything.
I know that if you were to get a question,
Right.
then the rev track would be another place for you to look. Now, I have forgotten, or sometimes we just post internally.
Well, that's
So
the
we're
thing,
not
like,
in-
then I would have to know the website, then it would take hours and like that.
But no, it's just the homepage and employment.
I think I sent you an email
But I
with
can
instructions on how to get to the openings.
and, I mean, I get the whole want to know what openings we have, because that's what people ask about and stuff, but there definitely shouldn't be like board member sensitive information in it, right? And you got-
Right.
we have to
Oh,
understand that,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, there's not, because it.
Yeah, it's just a position.
That wasn't even one, yeah. That's all I was saying.
Okay, so we're clear on that, or is awesome? So that's fixed? Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm sorry, what is the name of the foundation? I can tell people.
Oh, Burlington Academic Support Foundation, also.
Okay, people have asked me, like, we got a foundation that's academics, yeah, yeah, send it to me so I can just tell
I'm
them.
glad you do it full time.
I could actually, it popped.
I have one thing, so, Bold, Craig hosted Bold Leadership, which is superintendents from around the state and some principals and stuff around the state that they came earlier this week. So I came up and attended that, just kind of meet those guys and kind of show off the district. So Craig took them around, showed them the ball fields and the school and all. They were quite impressed, and it's always nice to show off our stuff. So,
What was the turnout, James?
It's about 35 total
30, yeah.
people, and we're, again, building principals, assistant principals,
It's similar to the one that
superintendents.
Craig and I kind of went through. We went leadership class. This is Bold, it's a different one, but anyways.
My presentation focused on that partnership piece that we created around here with the rec center, city, county, economic development, different gifts and grants on how to make projects happen without, completely looking at general fund or capital outlay.
So I did tell Craig they had one of the guys presented from
Clayton Kelly from Piper Sandler.
Piper Sandler that we had before that we're going to do a funding for our deal. He presented to those guys, kind of telling them opportunities for funding, how funding went. Was really more in depth than what we kind of had. And I asked Craig if he could set that up and he come present it to the board so he could kind of see it. Different ways to fund things and all that stuff. Like, like he said, the common thing, what we did is lease purchase for the ball fields. That's kind of a common thing now that they're doing. We kind of did that earlier before, but that's the way a lot of people are doing stuff now. But so I asked him if he could set that up and the guy come speak. I don't know, he probably spent 30 minutes or so. But that's all I have.
Okay.
Contracts, approved appointments. Looky here. Proposal for inactive VHS activity accounts. Who's working?
So you have some information there. We discussed this at the last month's meeting. So again, want to focus on, again, the focus that you have here is on what we need to do with the inactive accounts. And again, that's the focus here. In terms of being athletic or activity. It's truly, it's an activity account. And that is, in my opinion, the high school administration, in this case, it's their determination on how the funds get divvied out accordingly based on the needs of the different activities, whether it's theater, band, forensics, Scholars Bowl, you get the idea. I don't know if you have questions or comments or discussion in terms of for Lee and Ariane or myself and Christy.
No, I think we did talk about that, but somebody mentioned something about a new mascot.
That was just another option, like, it wouldn't be just to go to the football team. It would try to be something that would help a wider majority of our students.
Well, it kind of gives the spirit, when we're talking about pushing the Wildcat thing, but, so is our mascot not any good?
It's just older, I mean, they still use it.
Does it want to have a fan in it? Does it have a fan in it?
I'm not sure, I haven't tried it on.
It's just a hand.
I wore it a couple years ago, it doesn't all. It gets pretty hot. It does not smell good.
Ours has a fan and it still gets pretty hot.
I want to, and I understand what you're saying, but it's not so much about the item of money.
Yeah.
It's more, we're talking about the inactive account, what we're going to do with those inactive account funds in terms of, getting those to where we can use them for things like that. Exactly.
So I know I was the one that got stuck on the wording of this last time, and a lot of that was explained to me after the meeting. I talked with Christy, and she worked through my ignorance and got me back in line. So I do appreciate that. And I see that you guys did change a little bit of wording in there too. So I personally, I liked the idea last time. I just had a problem with a couple of the words. I am 100% good with it now, so.
Me too.
Yeah.
So thank you for being patient with me.
And I think it's just again about cleaning this up so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So this isn't presented to you in the future.
Yeah.
Like, taking care of it now.
I'll make a motion to approve. Good? I'll make a motion to approve the proposal presented regarding inactive activity VHS funds.
Second.
Second. Or did somebody already say it? Okay.
Motion,
Sorry, I didn't hear
any
you.
discussion?
Okay.
More discussion? See what you vote?
Thanks for putting all that data together for us and come up with ideas, and you guys will be good stewards of it in the future, and we'll just not have to deal with that again. Sweet.
Motion carried 5-0.
So I'd just like to say, I appreciate both of you guys. Obviously, you're new in position, and obviously that's gonna, changes will happen. I appreciate the things that you guys have proposed so far. I mean, it's just a few months in, and they're good ideas, and they're things that need to be fixed, and I think it's real easy when you've been in position for too long to, glaze over some of that stuff. So I like the fresh eyes. I really do appreciate it. That's not a knock on the people that have been doing a very good job for a very long time.
I heard what you said. Appreciate
There's no way I can give a compliment without offending someone.
Okay, next item on the agenda is construction manager at risk of the CMAR agreement with McAllen Board and Construction LLC. There's a lot of information there. I asked Craig to just kind of summarize again. We talked about it last month.
Right. This is, again, we should have done this earlier when we were actually going through CMAR process for the possible Burlington Elementary School bond issue. Basically, as you found out, the county board wants to be a partner with you and wants to work with you in the future, whatever that may be. We don't know exactly what that's going to be. Is it a rerunning of a bond issue of a different sort with the project? Is it a renovation of the current BES? Is it an add-on renovation of the current BES? They have spent time since the last time we had our meeting with the board retreat. Thank you. The board retreat. They spent time with Darla and myself. Darla and I are going to meet with Margarito and go over some information that they need to start getting some projections of actual items, dollar figures for safety security doors with the shatterproof type industry standard glass. What else do we need to do in terms of HVAC and improvements and so on and so forth, and flooring? We're putting together what the dollars and cents that I've shared with you in Friday notes but we're putting together what it's going to cost to do that addition renovation. So basically, this agreement, it does not, there's no expense to you at all. By September 30th, 2026, it will expire. Hopefully, we'll have an idea of what we want to do before then in terms of what the future of BES might hold. But I would strongly suggest, like I say, that you continue that partnership with McCown Gordon. They've done nothing but, try to help us, work with us, and try to make, the project happen. And I think they're going to continue to look at being, good partners for us as we move forward in whatever direction we move forward. So any questions on this?
I think it's probably a good idea, so we don't have to start over at square one if we're gonna, whatever we do. These guys already kind of know what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with signing this. Where is that expiration date at?
You'll see it at the bottom, that right above the attachments, it says, in CMAR until the agreement expires on September 30th, 2026. Is that last paragraph of that narrative?
Are you talking in the contract, or are you
No,
talking?
I'm talking about the informational, the public content information.
Yeah, I see it there. I see it there, but if we're agreeing to this agreement, shouldn't that date be in the agreement?
I think it is an agreement, but
He pulled it out there.
I'd have to go back and find
What, you said it was September or something or other?
September 30th, 2026.
What's the number, Craig, just so...
Okay, it's on page 10.
Thank you.
What's the number, just so it's out in the air? If we do not do the project, we will owe these guys some money.
No,
No,
the
not
county
these
board, no.
Who's the company that we will owe money?
That's GMCN Architects. We will
Okay.
owe them money.
If we do not do a final project.
At some point in time, if we don't move forward with a project with Burlington Elementary School, there will be a bill that comes due from them. Again, I'm estimating it because, again, I don't have it, but it's in that $60,000 range.
Yeah, that's the number I had in my head.
So there will be a bill. Now, GMCN is holding off because they want to be your partner. They want to continue working on this, and no matter what direction it is, whether it's an add-on renovation or just a renovation or a different bond issue for a new elementary.
Yeah.
Having said that, there will be a bill for them if we don't move forward in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Good question.
most approved is construction manager, risk agreement with your county board and construction LLC.
Sorry.
Motion seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, Richard vote. Motion carries 5-0.
I don't have any executive session for personnel.
Retirements. Good things, bad things.
Make a motion to accept the retirement request of Lynette Basil with regret at the end of the 2025-2026 school year. Lynette has 35 years. I'm sorry, that's not her motion.
Second.
So then I'll say Lynette has been an elementary school teacher for 35 years, all with USD2.
That's awesome.
Motion seconded, discussion. Smith, your vote.
We will miss Lynette.
Still want
Wish her well in the future.
Say again?
Still want about no.
Can I say something about Lynette real quick?
Yeah.
So the year she was hired, we had a large number of students enroll, and she got hired 3 days. There was an opening at my grandma. Lynette's sister is married to my uncle. Sorry, that's a bit of personal information. Anyway, my grandma called Lynette and Emporium said, hey, I saw an opening in the newspaper. Lynette applied the next day, was interviewed and hired 3 days before school started. So, that's interesting.
Motion carries 5-0.
I thought you already said that part. Shut up.
I'll move to accept the retirement request of Craig Marshall with regret at the end of the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
Motion second, discussion.
35 years.
35 years, yeah.
10 of them here.
10 years.
Hate to do it, Craig, but we could.
Thank you.
I'm saying no.
Motion carries 5-0.
That's what I was saying, I want to vote no. on
Yeah, I
this.
guess. I was like, what?
Well, Craig, it's been,
Not accept this.
Okay.
Yeah, motion to accept the retirement request of Diane Marshall with regret at the end of the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
Yeah.
discussion,
So,
switch your vote.
yeah.
You can say no, then Craig has to. Motion carries 5-0.
And
Not
not
really.
to mention the 28 years of coaching and education Diane put in and not 3
Yes.
years.
9 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Make a motion to accept the retirement request of Jeannie Solano with regret at the end of the 2025-2026 school year.
Motion second, discussion. Switch your vote.
Does this mean Margarita's going to work for another 10?
Margarita, he won't have this.
Jeannie had 29 years
I tried.
at the end of.
She got grandkids on
2025-26.
What's that?
Say that one more time, Ron.
She had 29 years at the end of 25-26 school year. And then, mentioned here, she was also with the Coffee County Special Education Co-op as a paraprofessional for 10, and is completing her 19th year as a special education teacher.
And she is a Burlington graduate out of my class.
Yes.
Long time ago. Motion carries 5-0. Well, now that we approved his retirement, we have to do a superintendent search, so fortunately we have a lot of time. I mean,
I don't think so.
I mean, we have more time than we had before.
I'm already seeing some stuff on social media, superintendents.
Oh, yeah.
There is a lot of openings.
I think we need to move on this quick.
There is a lot of, that's what we're talking about tonight, so.
Yeah.
So I'll say
Go ahead.
when we hired Craig, we had McPherson and Jacobson. I don't know if they've changed their policies or not, but we did not choose, I'll tell you why we did not choose KASB, because to be blunt, they have an Excel spreadsheet and they pick who you interview, and you don't get to see all the applicants or their resumes. They pick the 4 or 5 they want you to interview, and that's what you do, and you pick from those 5. And they have a spreadsheet of superintendents and openings. Greenbush, wasn't an option, so I don't really know much about that. But McPherson and Jacobson, we were able to see all of the applicants that applied, and we reviewed all of their resumes. And we chose who we interviewed. And I liked that the best, just
I don't know
because.
what the KSB has changed their policy there or not, so I
I
don't.
think you have different field service specialists with KASB that weren't here 10 years ago. You're gonna have to make that decision. I have contacted Justin Henry and Destry Brown to see if they're still with McPherson Jacobson. Destry is not, Justin is. They'd be interested. They said if you want a request for a proposal for McPherson Jacobson, or you decide you want to go directly with an entity, a certain company, you sure can do that. Again, the third option is you can conduct your own superintendent search and do that independently. I would not recommend that, but that is,
What's the recommendation?
there are some districts that are doing that.
I think Monique's right, but I think maybe because if they have changed, that, because it's 10 years ago, maybe we can do an RFP from both of those and see what they offer. See if they offer any different.
They're all.
The 2 or the 3?
KSB and
Why not Greenbush if we're doing that? If they weren't available last time?
I don't, well, frankly, I don't ever hear anybody using English very much.
Well, they just started, like I say, in the last year and this year has kind of been what they've started to get involved in superintendent searches.
The other thing they did was they met with us and said, what are you looking for? And then they created a pamphlet to promote what we were looking for. Like they met with us, they created it and they sent it out.
This is the McPherson
Yes.
Jacobson?
It was regional, not just state.
I think with the 2 of you being the only ones with experience doing this, I think it is a good idea to look at 2 of them, but just keep in mind the experience that we got
I
last
mean,
time.
Monique's right, I mean, the reason we didn't do KSB was because of that last time. We didn't get to see all the applicants and stuff.
Why don't we ask both of them and then,
We just asked for an RFP from both of them.
And like Ron said, quickly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure everybody that's getting asked is getting asked, find us the best person that's gonna be here for
they
everybody.
shouldn't have to put anything together, they should have it ready, right?
You do not have to ask for an RFP. You can,
We just asked them.
you can actually contact KSP probably to ask them what their process is. And then you've had experience with McPherson Jacobson, so we could also ask them if it's the same or similar process, but it would be a matter of a phone call, not necessarily putting together an RFP for this for you all. to select.
And I can do that.
Yeah, we need to call both though, because if we're assuming KSB might have got better, we have to assume McPherson Jacobson might have got worse, right?
I can get that contact information from Craig and I'll do that this week.
So my
So we need a
suggestion,
motion, right?
my suggestion actually would be wait to make this motion, but you're looking at a special board meeting
Yeah.
to determine which one you're going to go with.
After we get the information, yes.
Yes.
Is that a meeting that we can have the information mailed to us ahead of time? Because if it's a special meeting, we're gonna have a bunch of call-ins.
Yes, and I think that would, you would get the information, we want you to process it, get it ahead of time so you can see it, and then do a special meeting, could
I'll
be a
ask them
call-in
for it and
meeting.
make sure we all get it.
Okay, I think that sounds.
It won't be a short, quick turnaround, like if we say we got this information on Thursday and do a Friday's call-in, we want to give you time to process the information.
Sounds good.
Kind of forward thinking, I don't know what the interview process looks like, if it's gonna be like maybe a remote, if someone's far away, like we have to do a Teams call or whatever for board members on Teams. Kind of what I'm asking is, Craig, can you have something set up for us to where we present as best as we can? Like, and I know, not digging into anything, but I don't want like us to be like, oh, hey, Craig, tomorrow we have an interview with somebody that we really, really like, and you're scrambling like to find the technology and a backdrop or whatever. I don't know, just kind of do you get what I'm saying? Like the best possible look we could have for someone that might be remote.
Yeah.
Myself included, because I'll be, if I'm at an outage, I may be calling in work or whatever. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So we went through this
Can't
before, we asked for the names of the people that applied, and we screened those ahead of time, and looked at those, and so, I don't remember how many, did we all screen those, or I can't remember, there was just a little,
So there was a list of 25, about
Yeah.
25 applicants, and we picked 5.
right.
And then we interviewed one every
But was it-
single day for an entire week
Was it just the interview committee, or did we have it?
till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I mean, was it just the interview committee that picked 5, that was that right?
She said one a day for 5
I know,
days.
but it was just the interview committee that picked the 5.
No, the board, no, the
I
whole
couldn't
board
remember.
in
Yes, I
executive
could.
session, actually.
Yeah, I couldn't remember that.
It just,
They'll
it,
guide you.
yeah, it was all,
It
they
was
were on a
well done.
spreadsheet, and if they had experience, and if not, or what they had experience.
Summaries you'd throw out.
It was
so-
very good. Then we had all-day interviews, actually.
Yes.
So we had Tim Martin was actually the person that
Yep,
took them around,
Took 'em
and
around,
then
showed
from
them
5
the
to
picture.
11 at night. And when we called Craig, I'm just gonna tell Craig, we called him at 11 o'clock at night, to offer him a job, and he
he
didn't
said no, he
answer.
didn't.
Sleep.
He said,
I figured you guys didn't choose me.
Hey, I went to bed too.
That was part of the
And the
test.
next
man.
morning
You're
he
gonna answer
woke
the phone
up
at 11 o'clock.
You got a
And
message.
Justin called you, right? Or you called Justin or something?
It was, yeah, I had a number of missed calls at past 11 o'clock at night. But you know, there's no good things that happen after 11 o'clock at
Oh, I
night.
know, there was
Except in this
plenty of
case.
arguing.
Except in this case.
So I'll get a hold of those, get the information.
Motion to table.
First reading.
Well, I never has it.
So then,
Do we need to make a motion to table this?
no,
Yeah, we're not voting on it right now.
we're gonna motion to contact the superintendent search, right?
You're gonna motion to table this item until you have a chance to contact KSB and McPherson and Jacobson.
Perfect.
Superintendent.
Ron, make it happen.
What your wife just said. So moved.
Make a motion to table this agenda item until
Until I
James
make- yes.
has enough time to contact
The person in Jacobson.
Person Jacobs and KSB regarding the superintendent's search process.
Got it.
Second.
Any seconds? All right.
Discussion.
Discussion?
Don't listen to those guys out there.
All right.
Submit your vote.
James, thanks for making those phone calls.
It was your wife that started.
Thank you for making that motion.
Just regardless there.
Okay. I'm gonna do it again.
What am I doing? It says test.
I know.
Do it again?
Yes, please.
So, now that it's public, that's what I was getting asked about all week, and I'm like, I'll find out on Monday. So, because I couldn't remember if it was, I know that some things go out district-wide, but that's not public in my mind. That's employees. Superintendent retired. You follow me?
I mean,
Voice vote.
once this,
It was
yeah.
Voice vote. Never mind. Yeah.
They put it.
Higgins, aye.
Did you guys release it out?
It was posted on there now.
What are you talking about?
It was posted district-wide.
The board, yeah.
He said-
The board agenda was posted Friday or
No, this just got out. It's always Friday.
Well, this agenda was published last Wednesday. So,
There we go.
The agenda was public.
Motion carries 5-0.
You're totally right. If they would,
Student issue.
I'm on the careful side.
Executive session, regarding student issue now.
No.
Yeah.
Closing item, anybody, any misfires? Debriefing, great meeting. So I'll say, Craig, thank you for the last 2 years. It's been up, it's been down, it's been sideways. I got on board on your third year, so I've been 8. And I appreciate the dialogue we've had together, and I appreciate what you've done for us. Thank you. We've certainly done a lot for the district, and you will be sorry missed.
Well, we got you for a little while longer.
That's right. I got work to do. I got a lot of work to do still.
And he does answer calls after 11 now.
This is my job. It wasn't my job when I was interviewing.
It was stressful for all, him too, it was stressful.
Means you're
It really was